Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the Kubevela community um, call for this week, and we have Srijit presenting what we're going to be talking about today. Srijit.
Yeah, thank you, Anup. Today we have five items published as part of the agenda, and the first one is the Kubevela new version release that we have. So, in case anybody has any feedback here, we thought this would be a right time to collect. If anybody has tried it out, I'm sure the guidewire team has already tried it. So, if there's feedback from there, we are happy to hear that as well.
Anybody in Guidewire have been using? Have we got that into any of our um, actual clusters and scene?
Yeah, the guys are looking at the permission system that we put in.
That's still in
Uh,
progress. We have rolled out the new tag without the new flags yet, but we are yet to test the flags.
Okay.
Right. Amit, you also want to call out the feature with RBAC that we have released with the
Yeah,
new
I think
release?
Brian was going to mention that. Sorry, Brian, I cut you off. Yeah.
no, go ahead. You're implementing some.
That one, to be fair, was mostly you. But yeah, I think the ultimately our back features goal. I think we want the users to not have full access to built-in definitions like Kubernetes object or some that are related to secret. So when this flag is enabled, um, based on based on what permission is assigned to the user who are creating these applications, they will only get to access certain definitions.
Uh, can I ask somebody to explain the purpose of why we were even building this feature?
Yeah, I can jump in. So, our major concern is that Kubevela runs with pretty high privileges, and there are reasons that you will possibly need that if you don't want to have to. Like, there is an existing ORBAC feature that will do user uh I can't think of the word, but user impersonation within Kubevela. So, if you have a component that exposes a deployment, you will need to have the deployment permissions, etc., to be able to use that component. But that kind of breaks the abstraction of Kubevela that you don't want to have to give users the ability to create deployments. You want to remove the ability to create deployments and force them to go through the Kubevela abstraction. And that means that Kubevela itself needs to run with pretty high privileges. Um, but that also has the downside that some of the component types and the workflow steps allow you to circumvent guardrails. So K8s objects is the kind of standout one where you can have a component that essentially can create anything, and combined with high privileges lets the user essentially bypass all safety rails, which we don't
So,
want.
so basically, I as a user, if I am not, I do not have the permission to create a K8s object through Kubernetes RBAC, I could circumvent that if I went through Kubevela's K8s object because that is running with a higher privilege as a
Yeah.
different user. And what this change does is that it makes sure that Kubevela, when creating any Kubernetes objects based on the components that we have, it will only allow those objects to be created if I had the permission to create those objects. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so ties, it's essentially with a validation running when you try and create the application that will verify that you have permissions to access the components themselves. So it allows you to essentially set ORBAC on the individual X definitions. And if you don't have permission to get those X definitions, then you'll be refused permission to create that application. So in that case, you can not give people access to K8s objects in Kubevela, and then they cannot use it within an application. So you could, for example, limit a user's ability to only create web services. So you would give them ORBAC access to web service, and then they would be able to use that in Kubevela, but no other resources.
Sounds good.
So the guys did actually identify a bug. So we're going to get a fix release out because it's security oriented. So we need to get that patched in. It's not the worst bug, and internally we can kind of continue with it. But essentially, if the user has admin privileges in their local namespace, you can use that to access resources that you shouldn't have access to in a valid system namespace. So we'll get that patched. It's a very small change. It's just a kind of the subject access review. If you have admin, will return true for the local namespace, even if the resource does not exist. So we just need to get that patched, and we'll release a interim bug fix release, and that should be available soon. And we haven't done a bug fix release in quite a while, so it's a good opportunity to kind of see that as well.
Sounds good. Do we have any other features that
Turning
we've
a
added?
negative into a positive there.
I'm sorry?
So I was turning a negative into a positive there.
Well, that's the idea. As a community, we're all going to help make it positive. Um, any other great features you want to talk about for as part of the past release?
I think the big one I worked on is the new status enhancements. So there's a detailed status map you can now utilize in line with your health policy and your custom message. So you can now capture a status details field, which allows you to kind of build a map of status details from your downstream resources into the Kubevela application and expose them. So that's quite handy for picking up IDs, etc., from the downstream resource and capturing in the status details of Kubevela to make it easier for users to find. Kind of improves the abstraction because you no longer need to have access to the downstream resources to kind of find these details out. You can capture it all in line in your Kubevela application, and it's just a better experience. And we also added additional metrics for application level monitoring. So the health status of applications is now sent to the Prometheus metrics and the workflow statuses as well. And they are very low cardinality metrics. So to add to that, we added structured logs. So anytime an application status changes, it will now send a very structured log, and you can aggregate that into your log collection systems, and then you will get an overview of your entire application and all the health of your components and traits, workflows, etc., all collated into the application, and you can build monitoring on top of that. We did a demo on this in the previous community call, so I think we record them and people can go back and have a look.
Cool. All
Yeah,
right.
plus the dashboard functionality, right?
Yeah.
So that covers up a lot of the things that we had issues with regard to properly reporting status up to the highest level in Kubevela applications. What were some of the salient fixes that we did, Amit and others?
Uh, I think we worked on bug fixes mostly. The one I can think of right now. Oh, actually, this one's related to security score also. I think we had to update OAPI version to improve the SF support, which requires um, switching to a new type in multiple files. That was one. And there was one where we added the depends on feature among components. I think that was
Could you
going.
explain that? Depends on feature.
So once again, let me just check.
Basically, it wasn't following the depends on. It would immediately start and provisioning the
Among
next
the
component,
components.
right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So it
as part
gave
of
some
an
component.
application workflow.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that. I'm remembering it now. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, if you had an application file and that had a workflow in which you had depends on between the various steps in the workflow, that depends on was not waiting for the first step to complete before the second step would start. Correct? It would fire off the first and then fire off the second. I mean, that's what I remember.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So dependent components are not getting deployed, unless their dependencies are fulfilled, or they get failed and it stops right there.
Okay. Cool.
We also
I think
fixed some issues with versioning, right, Amit? The one where on redeploying the app, it was not taking the latest one, but rather the last used version, even though we don't have anything pinned.
Uh, are you referring to definition revision?
Right, right. Definition revision, yeah.
That one I think is still in progress.
Oh,
Definition
okay.
revision is in progress. Yeah.
Okay.
I think another big one in my mind is what Vishal fixed for the webhook, for the upgrades,
Oh yeah,
TLS.
yeah.
Vishal, you want to speak a little bit about what the issue was?
Yeah, so the issue was basically when we are doing the hem upgrade and anything is getting failed in between during the upgrade. So basically the webhook is getting disabled. So it's because of the certificate, the way the certificates are getting created. So it initially creates a certificate with a dummy value, and once the upgrade is completed, then it fills the certificate with the actual value. So suppose if something got failed in between, the webhook configuration contain the dummy certificate, and because of thing there is no proper communication between the webhook and the Kubernetes API server. So now we have fixed it. So what whenever we are doing upgrade, it will first check whether do we have any certificate already, because the Kubevela create a secret which contain a secret certificate which is basically valid for around 100 years, and it doesn't create a secret always whenever we do the upgrade. So basically the job which create a secret which contain the certificate check whether I have any value in the secret or not. If it is there, it will not again create the secret with a new certificate. It will reuse the certificate. So the same concept we are applying when using the mutating and validating webhook. So when we are creating those configuration, we will check whether we have any certificate already available. If it is, then use it as a dummy value, so that even it fail, the dummy value will contain the actual value and the webhook will keep on working.
Cool. Thank you. All right.
No,
And
we also
yes.
added colors. We also added colors to the Kubela logging. Vishal was
Uh,
very unhappy
yeah,
with the double logging.
so
Kubela.
it was actually like when we are running in ID, so all the logs are in red color and it's very hard to like verify. So like I was working earlier, working on Java Spring Boot project. So there I saw that the color and the way are very good. So I just use it. So currently it is just for ID, not for the production environment, because maybe during the parsing of log, like suppose if it is going to Datadog or Fluentd, it may cause an issue. So this we have kept it only for ID when we are running it locally or as a Docker container. So when it will be easier for debugging to verify these things.
But that's a part of a bigger, better logging effort, right, Vishal? If I remember, you were
Yeah,
also
so
at
the
MPC.
next part we are improving the logging thing. So what improvement we did now, currently in the webhook part, right now all the webhook are coming as just a single like on log. So if we want to check the logs for a particular event, like what are the different logs which happen for a particular event in webhook, there is no way. So currently we have added a message ID. So as like a unique UID. So whenever we do any creation of any component definition, validation, trait definition, it will go through the webhook part and it will print the logs along with the UID. So with that UID, we can check what are all the events happen for that particular things in the webhook. So currently it is only for validating webhook for all the definition. The next part, we are planning to implement it for all the mutating webhook and the validating webhook. Now this is on the webhook part. Now the next part we were thinking is like when the reconciliation happened, we were not sure, like there are like lots of logs coming and this is not in order. So we thought we'll keep a message whenever we are applying any application from and it is getting passed from the webhook part, we'll use the mutating configuration to give a message ID to a application. And when the reconciliation happen, we'll use that message ID in our context and print that message ID in all the logs for that reconciliation. So if we want to check any particular event for reconciliation, we can have a proper log. And even in Datadog with that message ID, we can directly filter out the log for that event only.
Culture helps better traceability and debugging. But then
Yes.
who doesn't like better color in their life, right? So good work, guys. I think we should continue on that track to make sure developer experience for the Kubevela developers and for new community members are easy, and you know they can be productive soon. Cool. Anything else, Rejit?
So that's it, Anup. That's what we wanted to call out from the current new release. Yeah.
There
Awesome.
is one more bug we fixed was about the Vela dry run. So currently, if we haven't specified the namespace, so it take the default, and even if we are giving a namespace, and if that namespace doesn't exist in the cluster, the dry run fails. It asks for that namespace to be present. So we have fixed that issue. If the when using dry run, that namespace is not mandatory to exist in the cluster. The dry run will show whatever namespace you are giving. And also we have fixed the ordering. So suppose there is a namespace in the CLI command and in the application, it will follow the order first for the CLI command and then it will go for the application if both places it is present.
Yeah, I remember that I think there was an issue. Someone reported that they were expecting Vela CLI to behave in the same way that kubectl does. So
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
that's
Oana reported it, and I think I was the one who suggested that we should follow what kubectl does.
yeah.
Um,
That part is on.
yeah, and what is the override? What is so how what is the override priority? Is it what is given in the CLI versus what is in the which takes precedence?
It is the CLI first, it will take the precedence and
Mhm.
then it will take the what is present in the application. If
Application.
both places it is not there, we'll go with the default namespace.
Got it. Understood. Okay, cool. Um, since there's nothing else, Gautam, I think it would make sense that you know we present our roadmap for the next year or so. If you could work with Brian and Srijit for the next
Sure, Anup. Yeah,
version.
I've had initial calls. I'll work on that. Yeah, we have
Yeah.
couple of ideas. One like a dashboard, and then publishing a roadmap. I do. I'm connected
Yeah.
with Brian, but I'll work on it.
Yeah. So maybe like at least a 4 month, 8 month what a plan looks like. That'd be great.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Thank you,
Sure.
folks.
Yeah. Thank you.
I
Go
started
ahead.
typing up the issues as well, so you'll start to see more labels and
Good.
assignment of things. So that should help. If anybody needs
Yeah.
anything done from that point of view, I should be a little bit less busy than Noob, so feel free to ask me to do these things. And I do have a proposal that we start closing out some of the very, very old issues. And I thought, from a community point of view, what do you think the cutoff point should be? Because we have issues going back as far as 2020. I feel like if something hasn't been updated in the past 2 years, we can safely close it.
Yes, I completely agree that they are cluttering the space without getting the attention, or it's not helping. So I think we should aggressively close tickets that either we don't intend to do or has effort that we'd have to come back to it, probably very much in the future. Um, so yeah, I agree, Brian. So we should take a pass at the issue list.
Yeah, I'm gonna start anything older than 2 years. I'm just going to bulk comment and close. People can reopen if we do catch
Yeah.
something that we didn't have, and I'll put a Slack message in before
Yes,
closing it.
and so that's the important part, to make sure that you comment and say that, hey, so due to inactivity and being stale, we are closing this out. If you think this is important, please reopen it and we can have a discussion.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
While we're
Also
All
on
doing
right.
top
this,
of the labels part. Yes, sorry. Also on top of the labels part, like once we have right labels, I connected with Brian, like creating a project dashboard that we can show to the consumers or people or developers or the community in terms of which are the open issues which we are working on, which we are researching and which are closed. So they get a dashboard view of different issues that's in your community.
Okay, sounds good.
So, Anup, as part of this cleanup, we are also identifying issues that could go into Hacktoberfest.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so that's also in process.
Yes, please. Okay.
And the last topic, just to call out, the team here is working on few aspects. We are working on enhancing the end-to-end test suite. For Kubevela, we are working on validation of the existing definitions. We have also planned for the cleanup of the existing Kubevela add-ons. Amit and team, if you want to add, please go ahead.
Yeah, so we started with the workflow step definition. So there are lots of definition which is basically not working, and since we are also upgrading the Qlang to 0.14, so there are other definition which might break. So right now, what we are doing the manual validation of each of the workflow step definition, and expecting both should work along same in the application side also and the workflow run also. And once the manual validation is just done, we are planning to create a repo where we will automate this test. So whenever there is a new release or any new feature in the Kubevela, it will run all the validation for all the different component type. So initially, in the initial phase was like we have prioritized some of the workflow step definition. We'll go with this, and then we'll go for trait, component, and policies. This is the thing. And for the E2E, like we will take in our later sprint in guidewire. So the plan is like right now all the E2E testing and the GitHub actions are running sequentially. So, and if something fails, it takes lots of time. Again, we have to do some commit. So we want to make it parallel and segregate out all the E2E like in a different action and parallelly. So at least the build time will be little lesser as compared to now.
Yeah, I think the bills are causing an issue right now. We had issues with the size of the release workflow. I had to release and delete the release multiple times before, and then clean up the GitHub runner to be able to do this. So I think we should have a track somewhere in our backlog to you know, building up efficiencies in our release and build process.
Yeah, and I think I want to reinforce really validating the definition as we do the Q upgrade will be tremendous, because yes, there are a few that are broken, and really have a environment with everything working will be really great. Thanks.
There is one flaky end-to-end test that constantly fails, and if anybody knows the reason, it would be amazing if we could fix it.
It's a timeout. Yeah, it keep on acting always. We have even separated out it to multiple part and given 5 minutes for each small test, but still sometime it gets
It,
timeout.
it's when it's creating the client cluster, right?
Yeah,
No, it's actually waiting for the running phase, but it's still in the rendering phase. Always it's happened. It is in
in
the
the
rendering
client.
phase.
Yeah. We should, yeah, it could be the runner resources available at that point in time could also be a part of the issue. So we need to figure out how we can.
If I remember correctly, that always passes locally, right, Vijay? We have never
Yes,
seen it.
yeah. Locally, whenever we are trying in our IDE or in our local cluster, it
Mhm.
passes.
I'm sure that's what the flaky gods do. But again, to think the different thing would be the resources available on the runner versus what you have on your Mac machines, right?
Right.
Cool.
On the Q upgrade, just to note, correct me if I'm wrong, it's Q014, 0.14.1. There are breaking changes that we need to discuss on how to manage that, because internally, obviously, the provided definitions will be upgraded as part of it, and the guys have that done. But obviously, any end user definitions are susceptible to breaking. It's not as bad as I thought it was. I thought all parameters have to be marked as mandatory, but it seems to be just within structs. So if you have nested parameters in structs, they need to have an exclamation mark added, and obviously that's going to break some stuff. So we need to flag the next release as breaking, make sure we go to, I mean, arguably we should be doing a major release, but I feel like a queue upgrade doesn't really lend itself to a move to Kubevela version 2. So we need to at least go to 111.
Yeah. I don't think it needs to be two. Two should
Oh,
be like something major with a lot of breaking changes that we have in the Kubevela specs
okay.
and the interface. That's when I think we should think of two.
Yeah, so we just need to make sure we flag the breaking changes, make sure everybody's aware of it, and either ideally, if we can provide some level of an automated upgrade CLI script that you can run, amazing. If not, then we just need to make it very clear what you need to do as an end user ahead of the release.
Absolutely, it needs to be documented. And better still, automated if we can.
Yeah. I think we may be able to do like, Q def upgrade. If it's just the exclamation mark issue. I think the bigger one will be you also can't use the concatenation operator anymore. So the plus symbol, you have to use list up and cat. And that's a little bit harder, syntactically to correct, but we can see if there's a way to do it.
Yeah, or if we could have just analysis tools that identifies a problematic area. Fixing would be ideal, but if we could have analysis, it would be also helping.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thank you very much. I think let's meet in the next community call, and Gautam, you can work with Brian to figure out what our plan looks like. We
Sure.
can create the project. You need any help? Now that Jerome and Brian are
Yeah.
also maintainers, they can help in some cases. Other cases, you might need admin, in which case you talk to me, and
Yeah,
we'll go
sure.
from there.
Yeah. Yeah, and if we can have the roadmap before KubeCon, I think we have to have it before
Oh yeah,
KubeCon.
Yes.
absolutely. Jerome,
Yeah,
you hit it.
I'll work on that.
Okay.
Yeah. We have the roadmap ready in a rough format, Anup and Jerome, so we can formalize that and then share it with you. I think Brian has put that across already.
Yeah. What I meant is, have a formalized way, put it in projects,
Or
put it inside
yeah,
the documentation in Kubevela. So Gotham as a
Yeah.
PM can then help in that regard.
sure, Anup. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. One last thing. The
Yeah.
code owner is PR. Can you merge that? It's like the tests are failing, but it's only a code owner's
I thought I
update.
already merged it, didn't I?
No, you merged the second one I sent you for something else, but the code
Oh,
owner
okay.
is done, so I
I'll
can't.
take care of that.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone.
Cool.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Everyone.
Thank you.